Welcome to this short video on hoodwinks that forensic accountants do. For those family law forensic accountants who pride themselves in objectivity, they will enjoy this video. The hoodwinkers among us will like this video less so. The purpose of this video is to assist family law attorneys and the court in identifying a hoodwink from its inception. In this video, I will refer to forensic accountants who comply with the AICPA's ethical standards as objectivists. Those who are not objective in my view, will be referred to as hoodwinkers. The difference between objectivist and hoodwinker is simple. The objectivist opines to their opinion based upon their knowledge of the facts as well as their experience. The hoodwinker opines to a result that benefits their client without reference to their true opinion of the correct result. The goal of the hoodwinker is to obtain an unjustifiably higher support award or higher division of marital assets for their client. I am Jim Schaefer, a family law forensic accountant. I have been a member of the AICPA since 1974. I will be your guide today to illustrate the draft report hoodwink with an example based largely on fact. This video is not intended to teach bad habits to potential hoodwinkers, but rather to work to reduce hoodwinks in California family law cases. Many forensic accountants present a draft report or declaration for use at mediation. Some forensic accountants present a draft report for presentation at trial. Initially, I thought the use of drafts was bad time management on the part of the forensic accountant. I learned through experience that the draft was just another hoodwink by the forensic. And this hoodwink can be damaging to the parties. Here is a rhetorical question. Is it consistent with counsel's and forensics ethical standards to produce a hoodwinking draft report for mediation? Or more specifically, are there ethical boundaries if the report is a draft and not signed? Here we are at mediation. The key persons around the table will explain their roles and points of view. Before we proceed, please observe that I have put on my incognito glasses. Hoodwinkers are an embarrassment to objectivists.
I am the mediator. I instructed the parties' forensics to complete their reports early so that I could review and compare. My instructions were ignored by wife's forensic. My mission is to assist the parties in coming to a mutually acceptable solution, but there is a problem. Wifey's forensics submitted their report 36 hours before the start of mediation and is it a total hoodwink. Everyone recognizes this except wifey, and she is dug in to an unbelievable degree. Not good. So here we are. The day was scheduled. I told both teams that I needed final and signed reports from the forensic accountants 7 days in advance of mediation. Draft reports are unreliable. I made a mistake in letting this proceed. I will lean hard on wifey and see if I can make inroads.
I paid my forensic a lot of money to do his analyses. It took him 6 months. He is a CPA. He must be correct. We are done. Haggling is a waste of time. I am not listening to the mediator or anyone. I am entitled to what my CPA calculated. I will not take anything less.
Wifey, you are my client. I have reviewed our forensic accountant's draft report. The accountant's report came in too late to obtain clarification of a number of key items that could go very badly for you. We should open negotiation with the other side and see if we can make a favorable deal for you.
I hired the accountant you chose for me. He worked 6 months. He charged me a bundle. I don't care if his report is draft or not. Since you picked him, I figure his draft is better than other people's final. By the way, why isn't my forensic accountant here today?
If wifey's forensics had completed their work on time, I could have prepared a side-by-side analysis that would have given the mediator a useful tool.
Houston, we have a problem. I tried to get my client to agree to a postponement, because wifey's forensics were late in delivering their report. When I saw the report was late in a draft, I called my client and told him we should postpone. That would have forfeited the mediation fee and my client balked at that. My forensic has worked the mediator pretty frankly pointing out the holes in wife's report from her forensic accountant. The problem is that wifey is believing her forensic. Full stop. In normal circumstances I would end the mediation process and start preparing for trial. But in this case the hoodwinking draft report really harms the parties because they have insufficient funds to take this case to trial.
It looks like I am between a rock and a hard place. Trial costs more than we can afford. My wife wants too much based upon that draft report from her forensic.
So when objectivists have little patience with hoodwinkers that produce a draft, hoodwinking report that their client believes, just remember this video. Here are 2 ideas for attorneys to consider to fix Houston's problem. 1. Do not agree to start a mediation unless a final report is prepared under penalty of perjury. 2. Prepare a side-by-side report or demonstrative comparing the parties' positions. I have a request for mediators. Please recognize the draft hoodwink at its inception. By that I mean recognize that some family law forensics use a draft report as a ploy to take an unjustified position because they did not sign the report. Whenever possible, please postpone the mediation until a signed report is available. If one side replies with the request to proceed using the draft report, that is an indicator of a probable hoodwink.
And remember what we discussed in my office yesterday, with respect to temporary support, we can file for a request for modification to reduce or lower temporary support as a sanction under Family Code Section 2107 as a violation of the fiduciary duty and the family law requirement for good faith meet and confer. Here is another possible alternative. We could go to trial with the expectation that the hoodwinker will change their testimony because the draft report is indefensible. I would call the hoodwinker as an early witness under Evidence Code Section 776. If I can show that the hoodwinker has changed their testimony significantly from the draft report, there is a possibility that wifey's attorney would ask for a recess to confer with wifey and perhaps rethink her position.
You may think that my recommendation to do away with draft reports is pie in the sky. Let me share with you a personal experience on the importance of a family law forensics work. A few years ago I signed my support declaration on a Thursday afternoon. It was fair and correct as any that you will ever see. On Sunday the payer visited the payee at her home, picked up a kitchen knife and chased her down the street and killed her. Our work matters. None of us has the luxury of tolerating hoodwinkers.